Guys, we're going to do a quick video about trying to adapt the Grimmspeed airbox and intake system to a GC8. Now this intake was designed for the 02 to 07 WRX and STI. The airbox fits perfectly on 2 of the 3 mounting holes. So what we're going to talk about is what to do with the 3rd mounting hole. So we've got a few options on what we can do. Basically what we're going to do is cut this bracket off because it no longer goes to anything, and just make a new L bracket that bolts to the fender and bolts through a hole we'll drill right here in the top. It'll be pretty simple. I do think most people are capable of doing something like this. You could do it as simply as just buying some angle steel from Lowe's or Home Depot and just cutting it short, drilling a hole here and here, and bolting one part through your fender and bolting one part through the airbox through a small hole that you would make in the top of the airbox cover. But so you're not messing with nuts and bolts passing through the fender. There are some other options, and there's a cool thing called a rivet nut inserter tool, which I'm not going to go into detail about how to work in this video. But what it would allow you to do is basically drill your hole a little bit bigger and insert a threaded portion into here. So now you don't need a nut on the backside. We can actually just screw a bolt right through whatever we're attaching into it. And so that's what I've done, but I took it one step further. Rather than using some ugly angle iron, and I actually have a leftover bracket that's L-shaped from something else on a Subaru that is no longer being used. And so I drilled that hole out just a little bigger and inserted a riv nut into it. And so what I'm gonna do is make a hole in the fender, in the inner fender, to bolt this bracket to. I'll insert a threaded insert using the riv nut insert tool, and this will now be a new mount in my fender, which I will be able to screw the airbox directly to. So we're basically just creating a bracket. It can be as simple or as complicated as you want it to be. I'm trying to make it look as if it was there from the factory. So what I'm going to do is make some very small marks here so I know where this part attaches to the fender, and I'll be removing the airbox and then measuring where to mount my L bracket between those spaces. There's a fender bolt that goes through here, and that means there's a threaded portion that sticks down, and I don't want my screw, my bolt that comes through this side to have clearance issues with the existing bolt that's already going down. So we're going to put our new bracket right here. So now I'm going to make the hole, and it's got to be large enough to fit my insert into, and then we'll compress the insert in place and we'll have a mounting bracket. So I went ahead and made my hole, guys. Now this is going to fit nicely inside there. It's okay if it's a little loose, because it's actually going to compress itself to fill that hole up whenever we use the threaded nut insert tool. Here's the threaded nut insert tool, and I'm going to compress this into place. All right, now I'm going to unscrew this. And I now have a M6 threaded insert right in my fender that's very secure, looks factory, and will accept an M6 threaded bolt through it. So that's all I need to do to attach my bracket. Now, a neat trick for finding out where you need to make a hole on the backside of something that you can't see is to put a little toothpaste on the object. So I put some toothpaste on here, and then I mounted the airbox and I mocked it up, matched up the bottom 2 holes, and pressed it down, and I pulled it up, and I was able to get this impression with the toothpaste. So that's where I'm going to drill my hole. And right here, this will be where I'll be drilling my new mounting hole, and then I'll actually be cutting off this tab completely, because we will not be needing it since it doesn't fit our chassis or go to anything. So I drilled out the mark where my toothpaste was, and I have lined up the bottom 2 holes, and now our top hole should have a home in that threaded nut insert that we've installed on the bracket. So I cut that bracket off with a cutoff wheel. Once again, we've got our factory mounting holes lined up, and now over here, our hole that we made corresponds directly with the bracket. So now that we've modified the airbox and we have a factory style mounting point for the GC, and we know that the bottom 2 bolts already fit, you can basically just watch a Grimmspeed intake install for 02 to 07 WX and STI to install the intake and airbox on your GC8. The only modification you have to make is come up with a mounting bracket on the fender. And I will include links to the tools that I use. This is the threaded nut inserting tool. This will change your life. It will definitely make you zip tie less things on. And all you need is some threaded inserts that correspond to the bolt you plan on using.